All right, so let's dive into the Sydney 905 filters.
Yeah.
You send over a really interesting mix of stuff here. We've got testing protocols, WHO reports, even some independent lab results. So we're really going to get into how these filters actually perform.
Yeah, it's a fascinating area, and the data is really compelling.
Okay, so for starters, there's two types of filters, right? The zero point 0.1 micron and the zero point 0.01.
That's right. So the point 0.1 is their standard filter, and then the zero point 0.01 micron, they actually call it the purifier.
Okay, and our mission today is to figure out what makes these filters stand out, especially when it comes to providing clean and safe water.
Exactly, going beyond the marketing claims and digging into the science.
I love it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this testing. I was going through the documents you sent, and Sydney 905 seems really serious about their testing procedures.
Oh, absolutely. They adhere to the World Health Organization's protocols,
Hmm.
which are incredibly thorough. And that's key because WHO testing is designed to simulate real-world conditions, not just a pristine lab environment.
So it's not just about whether the filter can remove contaminants, it's about how it performs under pressure.
Exactly. How it performs under pressure. They actually use two types of test water. General test water, which simulates high-quality sources like groundwater, and challenge test water, which is meant to mimic more difficult surface water conditions.
Makes sense. You want to make sure that these filters can handle whatever you throw at them. Now tell me more about these registered labs. Why is that so important?
Well, for one, it ensures consistency and eliminates bias. These labs follow strict guidelines, so you know the results are accurate and comparable. Sydney 905 doesn't even acknowledge self-done tests. They want that independent verification.
Wow. That's a strong statement about their commitment to reliable data. So walk me through the actual testing process. What are they looking at specifically?
It's pretty involved. Labs measure things like flow rate, pressure, and they even backwash the filters daily. It's all about simulating how these filters would be used in a real-world setting.
Interesting.
And to eliminate any flukes, they actually test multiple filters at once.
Wow, so they're really trying to cover all their bases here. And all this to make sure the results are as accurate as possible.
Exactly. It's about taking the guesswork out of it, providing consumers with solid evidence.
Okay, so we've established that Sydney 905 takes their testing seriously. Now I'm dying to know, what are the results like?
Prepare to be impressed. We have the WHO reports for both the filter and the purifier, and the numbers are remarkable. But before we jump into the specifics, let's talk about what these numbers actually represent, because it's easy to get lost in the technical jargon.
Right, because I see all these log reduction values,
Mhm.
and I'm not quite sure what to make of them.
I hear you. Think of it this way. Imagine a stadium packed with people, and each person represents a potentially harmful bacteria.
Okay, I'm picturing it. A whole lot of bacteria.
Now, a 1 log reduction means you've cleared out 90% of that stadium. 2 log reduction, you've removed 99%. 3 log reduction, 99.9%. You see the pattern. Each log reduction represents a tenfold decrease in those harmful bugs.
Ah, that makes sense. So the higher the log reduction, the more effective the filter is.
Exactly. And with the Sydney 905 filters, we're talking about some serious log reductions, meaning they're clearing out a vast majority of those harmful microorganisms.
Okay, so spill the beans. What kind of log reductions are we talking about here?
Well, let's start with the point 0.1 micron filter. The WHO report shows a 7.1 log reduction for E. coli. To put that into perspective, we're talking about reducing the number of E. coli by a factor of 10 million.
10 million. That's mind-blowing.
It is, and that's just one type of bacteria. The reports also detail impressive reductions in other harmful microorganisms, including viruses.
So this zero point 0.1 micron filter is clearly doing a fantastic job. And what about the zero point 0.01 micron purifier? How does it compare?
The purifier is even more powerful. It achieves a mean log reduction of 7.3 for E. coli, which means it's even more effective at removing those nasty bacteria. But the real game changer here is that it also targets viruses. The WHO report shows significant log reductions for viruses like MS2 and FIX174.
So it's not just about filtering out bacteria. The purifier provides comprehensive protection against a wider range of potential threats.
Precisely. It's designed for those situations where you need that extra level of assurance.
This is fascinating. It sounds like Sydney 905 really did their homework when it comes to these filters and ensuring that they provide truly clean and safe drinking water.
Absolutely. And it's not just about those impressive log reduction values. We also have reports from independent labs around the world that show similar results.
Oh, tell me more about those. What kind of labs are we talking about?
Well, for example, we have test reports from Ongeni Water in South Africa and from a lab in Zambia. These reports show how the Sydney 905 filters perform in real-world conditions using water from local sources.
So it's not just theoretical. These filters are actually making a difference in communities around the world.
Exactly. And the results are consistent with the WHO findings, showing significant reductions in harmful bacteria and other contaminants.
That's incredible. So they're not just meeting the WHO standards, they're exceeding them in real-world applications.
Yeah.
What else can these filters remove?
Beyond bacteria and viruses, the reports highlight that the Sydney 905 filters effectively remove things like turbidity, total suspended solids, iron, ammonia, sulfates, nitrates, nitrites, total phosphates, and even fluorides. It's a pretty impressive list.
Well, they really do cover a wide range of
That's
contaminants.
right.
That's important, right? Because clean water isn't just about the absence of harmful bacteria. It's about overall purity and safety.
You hit the nail on the head. These additional contaminants can impact the taste and odor of water, and some can even pose health risks over time.
So by removing these contaminants, Sydney 905 is going beyond basic filtration and providing a truly comprehensive solution.
Exactly. And this commitment to comprehensive filtration is reflected in their global reach. They're currently present in more than 36 countries, bringing clean and safe water to people in dire need of it.
That's remarkable. It's not just about selling a product, it's about making a positive impact.
And that's what makes this deep dive so inspiring. We're exploring technology that has the potential to change lives.
I couldn't agree more. Now, you mentioned these independent lab reports from Zambia and Umgeni Water. Can we dive into those a little deeper? I'm really curious to see how these filters performed in those specific contexts.
Absolutely. Let's take a closer look. So the Umgeni Water Report, it's particularly interesting because they tested the Sydney 905 filter using water from the Mbangweni River. And this river is known to have elevated levels of E. coli and total coliforms, making it unsafe for drinking.
So a real-world challenge.
A real-world challenge for the filter.
What were the results like?
They were incredible. After filtration with the 0.1 micron filter, the water showed a complete removal of both E. coli and total coliforms.
Wow, so from unsafe to completely clear. That's a real testament to how effective these filters are,
Yeah.
even when dealing with contaminated water sources. What about the Zambia report? What did they focus on?
The Zambia report looked at a water sample taken from a shallow well, which is a common source of drinking water in many parts of the world, and the focus was on the filter's ability to reduce turbidity, which is essentially the cloudiness of the water caused by suspended particles.
And high turbidity can make water look unappealing, right? But it's more than just aesthetics.
Absolutely. High turbidity can harbor bacteria and viruses, making the water unsafe to drink, and it can also clog pipes and damage water treatment systems.
So reducing turbidity is a crucial step in ensuring clean and safe drinking water. How did the Sydney 905 filter perform in this test?
The results were really impressive. The filter significantly reduced the turbidity levels, making the water visibly clearer and safer.
That's great news. So we have these rigorous WHO tests, and then these real-world examples from South Africa and Zambia, all pointing to the same conclusion. These filters work.
Exactly. And remember, these are just a few examples. Sydney 905 has a global presence, and we're seeing similar positive results from registered labs all over the world.
It's truly inspiring to see this technology making such a difference. Now let's go back to the WHO testing for a moment. You mentioned that they have specific classifications for these filters, right?
Yes, they do. The WHO uses a tiered system based on the log reduction values we talked about earlier.
So those impressive numbers actually translate into a specific level of protection.
Exactly. The zero point 0.1 micron filter is classified as providing targeted protection. This means it's designed to effectively remove bacteria and protozoa, the main culprits behind many waterborne illnesses.
So if you're in an area with generally good water quality, but you want that extra layer of defense, the zero point 0.1 micron filter is a great choice.
Precisely. Now, the 0.01 micron purifier, with its higher log reduction values, is classified as providing comprehensive protection. This means it tackles all three: bacteria, viruses, and protozoa.
Okay, that sounds like the ultimate peace of mind. When would you recommend the purifier over the filter?
If you're traveling to a region with unknown water quality, or dealing with a source that's likely to be contaminated with viruses, the purifier would be the way to go. It offers that highest level of protection.
So depending on your needs in the situation, Sydney 905 has a filter that can provide the right level of protection.
Exactly. And it's great that they offer options, because clean water needs can vary greatly.
Now I'm curious about something. We've been talking about all these contaminants that the Sydney 905 filters remove. But is there anything they don't remove? Are there any limitations we should be aware of?
That's a great question. While these filters are incredibly effective, at removing a wide range of contaminants. They are not designed to remove dissolved salts or minerals.
So things like calcium and magnesium,
Yeah.
which are naturally present in water and actually beneficial for our health.
Exactly. And that's a good thing. We want those minerals to remain in our drinking water.
So it's about striking a balance, right? Removing the harmful stuff while preserving the beneficial minerals.
Precisely. And the Sydney 905 filters do a remarkable job of achieving that balance.
Now, something else that impressed me about Sydney 905 is their commitment to sustainability.
I agree. The fact that these filters are reusable is a huge plus.
Right. And it's not some complicated process. They make it super simple with their backwashing system.
Right.
You just flush the filter with clean water, and it's good to go again. No need to constantly replace cartridges, which reduces waste and saves money in the long run.
It's a brilliant design that aligns with a more sustainable approach. And it makes these filters even more accessible to communities that might not have regular access to replacement cartridges or disposal facilities.
So we have effectiveness, we have sustainability, and we have a company that's committed to making a positive global impact. What more could you ask for?
Well, there's one more fascinating aspect we haven't touched on yet. We've been focusing on the technical details, the testing, the results, but what does all of this mean for real people? How are these filters actually changing lives out there in the world?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
These log reduction values and lab reports are impressive, but they don't tell the whole story.
Exactly. We need to hear the human stories, the personal experiences of those who have benefited from access to clean water, thanks to Sydney 905 filters.
I'm ready for those stories. Let's dive into the real-world impact of these incredible filters. So we've talked about the science, the test results, the sustainability of Sydney 905 filters. But I think what really hits home is hearing how this technology is impacting people's lives. Do you have any stories you can share?
Oh, there are so many powerful examples. One that comes to mind is a story from a small village in Zambia, where access to clean water was a daily struggle. People, especially women and children, had to walk for miles to
Wow.
collect water from contaminated sources.
It's heartbreaking, you know. I can't imagine having to worry about whether the water I'm giving my family is safe.
Exactly. And the impact on health was devastating. Waterborne illnesses were rampant, leading to missed school days, lost work hours, a constant cycle of sickness. But then Sydney 905 partnered with a local organization to provide the village with filters.
So they didn't just donate the filters, they made sure they were properly implemented and that the community knew how to use them.
Yes, that's crucial. It's not just about providing the technology, it's about empowering people to use it effectively. And the results were transformative. With access to clean water, the number of waterborne illnesses plummeted. Children were healthier and able to attend school regularly. Women could spend less time collecting water and more time on income-generating activities.
Wow, that's incredible. It's amazing how something as simple as a water filter can have such a ripple effect.
And it's not just about the immediate health benefits, it's about restoring dignity, hope, and opportunity. When people have access to clean water, they can break free from the cycle of poverty and focus on building a better future.
It's so inspiring to see how Sydney 905 is making a difference. And it makes me think about all the other potential applications beyond just household use.
Right. Imagine the impact in disaster relief efforts. After a hurricane or earthquake, providing clean water is often the most urgent need. These filters could be easily deployed, preventing the spread of disease.
Man, and saving lives.
And their portability and ease of use makes them ideal for remote communities, refugee camps, even for people who enjoy camping or hiking.
Exactly. They can provide that essential layer of protection no matter where you are.
I'm also thinking about schools in developing countries. Providing students with clean water not only improves their health, but also enhances their ability to learn.
Absolutely. Clean water is the foundation for so many positive outcomes. It's about health, education, economic empowerment, and overall well-being.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the power of clean water and the incredible work that Sydney 905 is doing.
It's a story of innovation, commitment, and compassion, and it's a reminder that even in the face of global challenges, there are solutions out there that can make a real difference.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners? What can they do to be a part of this movement? Well, first, educate yourself about the global water crisis. Support organizations that are working to provide clean water access. And be mindful of your own water usage. Every drop counts.
Great advice. It's easy to take clean water for granted, but for millions of people around the world, it's a daily struggle.
And by understanding the science, the technology, and the human impact, we can all play a role.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive. Thanks for sharing your expertise and these inspiring stories. I have a feeling our listeners are going to walk away with a renewed appreciation for clean water.
It's been my pleasure. And remember, the journey towards clean water for all is ongoing. Let's keep the conversation going and work together to make this vision a reality.
Well said. And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration.